Hello, hello. All right. Get everything out of the way. I am Valgan. I am working on a combat system for VR Chat Worlds where you can pop in a bunch of guns, you can set up teams, and then you can just go from there. The idea is that this system can be built out into more like full games that people can like really kind of make their own, or even just have presets that they can just put into a world. Think of how many maps there are in Gmod that has TTT compatibility, stuff like that. And today, there's a chance that we can actually get all this stuff working by the end of stream for Patreon members to properly test out. So, right now, I'm refactoring a few of the things that I did last time. I also spilled a bunch of water on my desk. It's not like making a mess, it's just I suddenly touch water. Alright. So, health stat, there we go. This player needs to be told this is the stat for your health. And let's give it a highlight. Now, one of the things that I kind of built up between streams actually was a entity highlighting system. What this does is when you shoot a character, they get like a red model that kind of shows up for just a brief amount of time. But it doesn't like excuse me. I did not clear my throat before. It doesn't highlight the player's model. That's not really a thing that I can really do, unfortunately. But you'll see games in VR Chat like, for example, Ghost. When you shoot someone in Ghost, what happens is you get a little diamond that appears to indicate that you've actually like hit someone. And I kind of want to do that as well. I don't have a specific idea of whether or not I want it to be a diamond or what shape I want to use, but for now it's just a capsule that kind of covers the whole area. So for example, I actually haven't set it up for the player here, but I can duplicate it over. Let's see, we got highlight. Is this a prefab I've made yet? Yeah, okay. So I can go to the player and bring in entity highlight, connect it in for their highlight here. And if I hit play, we should be able to highlight them green when they're healed and red when they're damaged. And this highlight should only occur for the person doing the attack. So if I do that, let me know if that's too loud. It might be. It looks like it's peaking a bit. But yeah, you see there's briefly a red thing that fades out over the span of about 1 second. So this actually spooked me a little. Ah, yeah, sorry. Let me know if it still needs to be quieter, because I can do that. Yeah, so actually, one thing I didn't mention, I am no longer using random Undertale sound effects. I am using a sound effects library that's freely available by Adobe, actually. Adobe Audition has a bunch of stock, freely usable sound effects that you can distribute. You just can't distribute them as the full package, like, you can't download it and then upload that zip file somewhere. Like, they have to be being used in a thing. So, this actually has a buttload of different sound effects that you can use, and not just for weapons. They have like ambiance, they have like pickaxes, they have footsteps, and I might end up using their footstep sound effects in the future for my footstep system. It's just that good, and I didn't know about it until like actually like yesterday. It's phenomenal, but it has a bunch of different sound effects that work great. So like we have a unique sound for that. Does this still work? Okay, yeah, it does. So You see that has a unique sound to the pistol. This has unique sound. There we go. Since this one shots, I gave it a 3-second reload time, which is also the duration of the reload sound effect. But yeah, so this is actually working quite well now. What all is it going to take to get this testable by the industry? So the big ones are going to be network handling. So if we look at our code right now, excuse me. I'm working on this again today. I should have this in a testable state by the end so that people on my Patreon can go and do things with it and see if they find any issues and see what can be easily expanded on right away. But, excuse me. Okay, so the way that I'm handling this right now, apparently I'm your #1 top fan. Yeah, so there's a, I don't know if it's like you are currently the #1, because it tends to go back and forth. Like as you saw right before, Aaron Ashe had #1. But I guess they're at #2 now. I have no idea if like what to do with these stats. I don't know if I can like give people something or turn them off. Like I just don't know. It's just a crown with a number. I think it depends on who's in chat. Yeah, who knows. Excuse me. But yeah, feel free to engage. Engagement is good. Thumbs up. Seems to give 25 XP per message. What does XP get used for? Oh, I forgot. I can do like a Q&A or a poll. I can just like do that as part of YouTube streaming. If I type once more, it should be first. It's amazing. Maybe now? Nah. Excuse me. All right, so the plan here is when... Never mind, use up all my XP. Okay. All right, so when the owner of this gun does run damage, they tell the highlight system to locally run a damage effect, which is just damage now. The way I have it set up, actually I can show the shader off here. So it's a very basic shader. I set it to be transparent and put Z write mode to off and Z test mode to always. What this does is it means that it renders over everything, which is great for this kind of highlight effect, because I don't want it to be like hidden behind a player's model or something. This is meant to show up and be in the way and be like, hey, you did a thing. Yeah, shaders I genuinely cannot code. It is something that I exclusively use in graph editors. So basically, I don't know what Z write mode, I don't know what Z test mode is. All that I know is that it like affects where it gets rendered, and this setting right here puts this in the front. Yeah, I have no idea how to use XP. But this has two different things that's happening on it. One, there's like the color, so we can ignore that. And that just gets put into the emission value. But two, we have a Fresnel effect and a min value here. So this, let's hide that. So this lerps between the Fresnel effect of this thing and the value of 1, at just like 0.15. It just like forces them in, which honestly, now that I say that, I can swap that and not use a lerp. I can just use a min. Then this lerps between this Fresnel effect and 0, depending on the time. So the way I'm handling the light up effect is we take the current time, so we can actually in shader get time since level load, and we can subtract that against Udon last hit time, which we set through Udon, and just say like, hey, now is the time that we hit this thing. Saturate just is a clamped 0 to 1, so it can't go above 1, it can't go below 0. We put that into a lerp, and this just basically means after like it fades out over the span of 1 second, and then it's just invisible again. So in Udon, the way that ends up getting used is damage now. We set the color to be the damage color because we have damage for red and heal, which is green. We tell it, hey, this is the current time since level load. Store this as our offset for the highlight, and then our render, we set the property block on it, and that's it. That's how we handle the highlight effect that we're doing. Material property blocks are great. Actually, before I do this, I should do render.getPropertyBlock and put in block in case something else is affecting this, so that we can keep all the same settings. We recently found out about this. Yeah, they are great. They're a little bit wonky to figure out right away, but they have a great handling for having multiple things interacting with the same material or the same shaders. So, especially if you're trying to do something instanced without accidentally creating a new instance of that material over and over, and suddenly your Unity scene file size is 8 gigabytes. Yeah, you can't fix that. All right, so now that I have this highlight system, let's actually go back into Unity here. We don't need this visual for the player, since there will be a player there. But they similarly will have the highlight effect on them. And right now we just have the standard role, which all it really does is dictate a spawn and a death spawn. So let's see here. Yeah, so if we want to get this testable, there's a few things that we need. One, we need to verify that all the networking works. That's what I was explaining earlier. So if I go into our code here, damage now is a local event. This is so like the person who's doing the shooting or like the firing at another player is the only one that gets this effect play, because you don't need to see someone else's like health hitbox when they get hit. Like that's just a thing for you to see. Let's go back to our, oh my god, I have so many scripts open. Screw it, I'm closing everything. Armory there we go. All right. So this does damage now, and does send custom network event to the owner of the entity that it hit, telling them to damage that entity. The armory entity damage entity function is network callable. I need to set this to be 10 so that you can actually hit people with multiple bullets per second. What is inside your base armory behavior? So base armory behavior just is a wrapper of a few things that I want to be easily inherited. Instead of doing start, I have an init function, which runs by default on start, but you can also force run when you're setting up stuff. It also has a stored owner and local player, and wrappers for on enable and on disable. One of the big limitations for Udon Sharp when it comes to inheritance is that you cannot override, like make it virtual or something, a default Unity function. You can only do it for ones that don't have a built-in version for Udon, like Udon Graph. So if I want to be able to use onEnable in, say, my base behavior, but also use onEnable in a inherited behavior as well, I need to have that put in a wrapper. So that's what these underscore onEnables are for. Yeah, so I basically have done this like base behavior design method for a lot of stuff now. It really is like just having a this is your init function and a built-in reference for the game object's owner and local player is like it's really essential for a lot of the stuff that I do. Especially when a lot of things are modular and talking to each other. You want to know whether or not they've actually done their start event yet, so that they can do their get components and stuff like that. Okay. So now that we have that, we need to spawn entity, kill entity. These, should these be network callable or should these just be handled locally? We'll handle that when we get to it in a bit. Shoot. But let's see here. So weapon SFX, play fire SFX, FX. This needs to be network callable because we need to be able to tell other people, hey, this is happening. Do we want to do it like that? Or, because I don't want to flood the network too much with people doing a lot of bullet stuff just for playing visual effects. You know, I'm going to go with this for now, and if we run into some kind of network limitation of too many functions put into the network call, then we will fix it from there. So we'll do a public void network fire FX. So this will do two things. It will do, okay, actually we'll give it the network callable thing here right away. This is 5 by default, right? Okay, yeah, I think 5 is probably fine for those. We don't need to be sending too many of these. We just need enough that, like, it, like, works. So this is going to send custom network event, name of play fire FX. And this needs to be to others. And locally, we'll just play fire FX. This doesn't need to become like a local network event or anything. So this will do a play reload FX. And we don't need to be able to reload more than once a second. I should use network events more, I feel, especially since they can now use parameters. Yeah, they've gotten a lot better. I'll be honest, I don't know the limitations of them yet, now that they're dramatically changed. I've even heard that in some situations that a network event can arrive before deserialization, if you call that the same frame. Like, it's fast now. I just don't know what we're like limited to. I'm not a networking engineer, so a lot of my stuff is just kind of built to work. All right, so this will be network fire FX. Network reload FX. All right, now the big thing that we have here is if we want to keep clients from doing nefarious things with this, we need to have weapon effects be we need to handle this call only if you are the owner. So if owner dot is local return and exclamation point. Probably use them from my whitelist requests. Apparently when you press the request, you take ownership of the tab. Yeah, that's the kind of thing that it's a lot better for, especially these days. Oh, so no, this isn't never callable. This one is the never callable one. Okay, that's it. Now, what network callable does is you can pass in a number, and this is how many functions that you are allowed to send per second. If you exceed this number, it doesn't just skip it. It queues it up to send it the next second. And since a lot of this stuff is just FX or Foley, we don't want that. We want it to not send if it's like already, if the queue is completely full. We can do custom handling for that. I wish it was a bit more like, I could just like put in a comma and do like ignore, and then it would ignore extra ones. And so this will also be required to be able to call method. Yeah. So we'll do network calling dot get queued events. It'll be this name of play fire FX. Do I have to cast this as an udon behavior? What are the optional fill-ins for get queued events? By the power of Rider. Oh, it's a friggin' udon event receiver. Okay, so this as casted to an udon event receiver. So what we're doing here is getting the amount of events that like the amount of times this event has been queued, and this is a number, so int num equals that. What we want to do is we want to ignore it if this function is being called more than this amount of times. So we'll have a const var up here. So private const int int fire fx count to equal 5 and reload fx count. Passing everything to udon event receivers that randomizes. Yeah, that is fair. I wish it could be implicit, but it's an interface, so you can't implicitly do that. All right, put that here. Count if count is greater than or equal to. Sure. I guess I'll just do is less than that, and then there we go. I'm gonna make a wrapper for this. I want just like a utility to make that kind of thing easier. All right, so head back to Unity, wait for it to compile, head over to scripts, and armory utility. This is just going to be all my random utility classes. Static. So in here, we are going to have a okay, so we need a bool of whether or not we have hit a max for a queued event thing. So public static bool event count reached. So this will take an udon behavior because I'm not insane. Target string event name int max count do this, import that. Wait, so if you don't manually do that, it just queues all the events for what? Yeah, so if we don't check for the current count of get queued events, if it is above 5, which is the default, it will wait, and then in 1 second, it will deliver those events again. So you can send 20 events. The reason that that is the default behavior is if you are using this for some kind of numerical control. Like, if you have 30 people walk up and press a button at the same time, and they're all joining in with some like network data, then you want that to have eventual consistency. And that's great. But that's not what you want for effects or like Foley or anything like that. You want all future ones to be ignored. So I'm gonna just make a wrapper for this one. This should be an option. That is what I've said. I not to be like that's what I said, but like I that's what I said about 10 minutes ago. That is exactly the behavior I would like to have for this kind of thing, is for it to have an overload to ignore future events. All right, so return count greater than or equal to max count. There we go. Okay, so instead of doing this, we'll do if armory utility count reached. We'll do this name of fire effects and fire effects. Fire effects count. Whoops. Target this. Weapon effects not assignable to udon behavior. Oh, is it because it's the udon sharp behavior? Okay, udon sharp behavior is when the cast no longer becomes implicit. That makes sense. Alright. So if event count reached is false, it will send that event. Now we'll do this down here as well for reload effects. All right. Nice. Okay. That should work for that. I feel like something like this should be put in some sort of general utility collection. That include all your topics. So I tried doing that for a while. The issue that I was having is that as I would update it, things would change. And I kept having issues of like, oh, what version should I be using? Like, what version is released in this prefab? Because that would be great if it was like a dependency that I could have, like Valgan Utils was a VCC repository of the likes. But I don't do VCC repositories for paid assets because that requires that the whole source code be public. And then there's no point in having it be paid if it's like completely public. But the way that VCC repositories work is that you need to have a fully public GitHub repository. And it's just one of those things that's kind of just a stacked series of things that has resulted in me doing it this way. But yeah. All right, let's drink some water. Wait for it to compile. There we go. All right. Now, as the owner, we should see all of this happen. So nothing should have changed. All right. Actually, I don't want min. I want max. Because if this is too low, then we want it to have a minimum value of this, which means we need to get the max out of these two numbers. A little inverse of what you might expect it to be, but now our highlight should work fine. All right, that works fine. So now we get the real test, the build-in test. All right, so I'm gonna shift some stuff around here. Let's go and swap this from. Notes. What have I done? I'll just put this. All right. I'm going to swap this from the auto switcher to the display capture, because what we're going to be doing is we're going to be launching multiple versions of our VRChat client, and it might be a little wonky. So let's do a build and test and set this up. I wish that the OBS window capture captured these pop-up windows. It just doesn't seem to do that for Unity. Or Rider, for that matter. It's just like not a thing that it does. I could just be like missing the thing that does that, but yeah, who knows. All right. I mean, doing Unity window capture in general is kind of... Yeah, that's fair. Oh, I forgot I set up the little screen thing on the bottom right. Alright, file locally. Okay, that's working. Now, we need a second person to come in and observe the murder. I don't think I'm hearing it on the other client. So if I turn off world sounds in this one. Yeah, no. Okay. The second client isn't hearing this. Is it because I have underscores on these? I thought network callable ignored underscores, but maybe not. All right, back into Unity. We will go ahead and reload that build after a bit. Reload last build. Whoops, nope, that's not what I wanted. I want build and reload last build. No, build and reload your world. That's it. Ugh, this has gotten so confusing. Okay, yeah. I'm also gonna have to put object suits on the guns, which I haven't done yet. So, eye on the left. I've turned off my world volume. Eye on the right. Do have world volume, but I'm not hearing the effect. Okay. So something incorrect has happened. Let's look at this. Armor utility, event count reached. This is doing a get cube event, and it returns whether or not count is greater than or equal to max count. So we're doing, if the event count is not reached, send the event to everyone else for play fire FX. Hello. Hey Pikachu, how's it going? So play fire FX is in there. Yep. Follow. We need. Why this isn't actually fire? Let's see. Let's go ahead and do a debug log. You are the owner, and then we'll log here as well. Debug log. Event count not reached. And we'll just do our quick test in Unity to make sure that this actually works. We're just going to look to see if that log happens when we fire one of the guns. You are the owner, event count not reached. Alright. Cool. If I do this one. Even and even. Any good resources on the stations? I want to override someone's avatar with custom death animations, similar to how these MMD worlds pump dances into avatars. Stations are the only way that you can do that. One of the advantages we have now is player objects allow you to have one sync station per player. So you can use a player object for the station, and when they die, you put the station at their current position, and you like have the animator in it, and it just like automatically plays that animation. You might have to do some weird handling for disabling players tracking and then re-enabling player tracking. And I think a lot of times people have had the re-enabling player tracking handled by putting someone into a second station that has an animation for that. I don't know the extent of how all that works. I just know that it's a little wonky. So first, yeah, it's not ideal. Stations are definitely one of those things that I like to avoid. Alright, let's look at this. Unable to send network event to Udon behavior weapon effects prefab, sync type none. Alright, well, there's our answer. Put on behavior sync mode manual. Me when I sit in the station end up halfway in the ceiling. Well, I'm used to cursed methods and putting my testers here. Yeah, that's fair. Alright, so now that we've changed the syncing on a bunch of stuff, let's go ahead and open this. No immediate issues. Since this is a test world, I'm just gonna hit regenerate because I'm mortified. Alright, hit play. Make sure everything works again. Don't get some random new errors. Alright, that works fine. Go ahead and rebuild the test. Yeah, I'm gonna have to put the object syncs on the guns pretty shortly. I've debated setting up my own object sync for it. Malian has their pea shooter system, and they have their light Udon sync stuff. So it might be reasonable to do that. My end result, I want my big treks to jump. Big treks to. Oh, T-Rex. I'm an idiot. Okay. We'll have the pleasure of watching their that's terrifying, but lovely. Alright, so we're still not. Does this one have? Oh, this one had audio turned off. That was it. Awesome. Alright, that sound is working. These guys aren't respawning, but that's a different thing. But that means we now have our event calling for our audio handling working. We love to see it. Alright, so from here, we need to handle the assignment of roles, because that's going to be the big one for actually making a game happen. So let's go ahead and edit our roles here. So sanity role, we will have a as field protected string role name. We'll just default that to be public string. Just make a wrapper for role name and return that. That way we can get what the name of this role is, but not set it. Let's go ahead and make a role color as well. String will just be color. And default it to. Let's default it to green. No, blue is a good one. All right, so with that, we go in here, we're gonna have our roles. So we're gonna have a role manager, which basically gets a index that is the thing that actually gets sent between players, and then we can use that to know what everyone else's role is, because otherwise it's just a thing. So grant parent, role manager, Uno Sharp. Role manager. So we'll bonk. Grab the summary behavior. So we'll have a serialized field. Maybe this can just be public. No, it'll be. This can be private. That'll be fine. Roles. Base entity role. Roles. So now we'll do a public int. Get role ID. Here we will pass a base entity role, and we'll get a array index from that. So this will be return array index of roles role. Oh, but that needs to be an array. There we go. All right. Now let's have some post-process handling for this. So on post-process, it would be public static void on post-process scene. This will be post-process scene attribute. We don't want this to be part of udon, so we'll just do if compiler udon sharp and is unity editor. Or editor? Yeah. I thought there was a different one. Oh well. We need to put these up here as well. So we'll do role manager equals find object of type role manager. So basically what we're doing here is we're automating the filling of this role value so that we don't have to do it all the time. So we'll need a we'll have a function here for it. Public void populate roles. So take a base entity role, right, roles, and this will just set roles equal roles. We don't care about setting this value in game, so this will just be part of our editor here. If manager return. So now we are going to make a list of the current roles and a list of the new ones. So we'll actually do a hash set for that. Hash sets are nice. Base entity role. Roles equals new hash set. Roles dot. Is there a fill, populate, add range? What is the thing for adding a bunch of things to it? All right. Well. Okay, this is gonna be annoying. Yeah, I'll just set this to be public. That's just gonna be fine. All right, so now let's go ahead and for each manager roles dot add role. So what we're doing here is we are copying in all the roles that the role manager already has. So if you have populated this in an order that you've done, this will just get done correctly. But if there's any extras, they get appended at the end. Because find object of type, or find objects by type, is either unsorted or uses instance ID. And instance ID changes between some builds or when you close and reopen. So you can't rely on that on it being like a good indicator of stuff. So basically the thing we care about is just having this index be similar enough. And a hash set is nice because it's basically a list, but you can't add things to it that are already in it. So we're just going to go ahead and get a var all roles equals find objects by type, and this will be it's role. We need to tell us two things. We want it to include inactive ones, and we don't care about sort. We'll try sorting by instance. This gives us an array. So we basically are gonna copy paste this exact for each, bump in all of the all roles. Because again, this will ignore all of the rules that already are in it. And then now we'll do manager.roles equals roles.toArray. So if we go ahead and we go into Unity, we have our role manager. This actually needs our role manager script. You see we don't have anything in here. If I hit play, it should automatically pop in the one quote standard role that we do have. Or not. Alright, let's see what's going wrong. It could be that is this because we need to do the negative value? There could be a few other reasons, but we'll check this one first. Okay, yeah, that was it. We just needed to have our post-processing give it a negative value. That way it runs before all of VR chat's handling for stuff. So now we have that, but let's say we have a standard role and the non-standard role. We'll just set this to be red because they're different. So we have our non-standard role. We'll put that one in first, or just because it's like funny. If we hit play, we want non-standard role to still be in the first index, and then standard role will be popped in as a second. There we go. So both of those are in there, and that handling is now perfect. We can go ahead and close our VR chat instances for now. And I need water. Okay, so let's have a way of building out a team. So I know I've kind of given myself an hour remaining here to implement a game mode for this, but honestly, if today's goes a little bit longer, that's going to be fine. Excuse me. Or everything could go magically perfectly well. So we'll call this green team. Oh wait, no. What are the? We'll do it. Or orange team. Have this be red. Orange is, yeah, that's it. And then blue team. Blue. All right. And I'll just put blue as first. All right. So for this, we want the most basic possible game implementation. So we're just going to have a person be the person who says like everyone's role and stuff, and then that happens. Then when one team has only 0 health players, the game ends. And by game ends, I mean I'm just gonna have it kill all the other players. That's gonna be fun. All right, so Armory NPC needs some kind of sync. Teleport entity. Yeah, we'll just give the NPCs an object sync. We'll just do that for now. But it's on a manually synced object. Okay, how do I want to handle that? This is the only reason that this is set to manual sync, is so that we can do our network calling for our events here. Otherwise, I'd have it on none. But none is... it basically just doesn't do anything. So, how do we want to do that? You know, since our Armory NPC only has the teleport function right now, I'll just go ahead and do that. Use that. Put on synced TLS field. Private. Vector 3. Position. 1D serialization. Transform.position equals position. Oh, does this have anything in the base? No, okay. So if not the owner, return exclamation point. Yeah, I don't care about rotation right now. We're just trying to get anything set up for this. Position equals target dot position plus serialization. Okay, that'll let us handle that at least. Though we want our init to take their current position. There we go. So all of these are going to need a reference to the role manager. There's some automation that I can set up for that. This is the kind of thing, like, I would love to be able to use a tool like, oh, what's the name? VRF Assist. But having, like, using VRF Assist in my projects, I love it. Using VRF Assist in projects that I'm distributing, I now have to tell someone to go somewhere else to download a thing to get this all working. Which is just a bit, it's another step. It's another thing that people can come to my Discord server with a complaint and have to fix. It's not a thing that I'm really enthusiastic about fixing. So, I could set up some automation for that myself. So, but that'd be annoying to do today. Yeah, I won't do great automation for it, but I will do, actually I won't even do automation for it. I'll just do it manually for now. So, role manager. Excuse me. We don't need a public getter for this. Excuse me. We do need a integer for their synced role ID though. Okay, so there's going to be a lot of steps that I have to do right now. So I'm going to make a synced version of base armory behavior. And that's just going to be net armory behavior. It's going to inherit from base armory behavior. It's going to be cast to, not cast, but it's going to be given the manual sync attribute. And that will give us a wrapper for on-deserialization because of the whole not being able to override existing functions thing. Okay, so let's do our on-deserialization. If I can spell. Okay. Protected virtual. Oops. How have I accidentally autofilled Vive Lighthouse instead of virtual void on deserialization. Alright, so that's be abstract. This will be net armory behavior. Why does your writer know about Vive Lighthouse? Well, it seems to be a variable of some type. Vive Lighthouse in Unity XR OpenVR. Yep, I guess that's why. Alright, so now our armory entity needs an on-deserialization for when it gets stuff. So we're gonna have a serialized field, food on synced, private int, role ID. Well, that'd be protected because we're going to be inheriting a lot. entity role equals role manager get okay, we need a way to get from an ID. All right. Stop here. Get role ID. Public. Entity role. Get role. Int ID. We should just return roles ID. But we need to handle the overflow. So if for some reason they put in a wrong number, we'll do ID equals math f dot max 0 roles dot height. Then ID equals math f dot min ID roles dot height. This first one, ID. There we go. So we clamp it within the range of that. And actually, is there a math f dot clamp range? Oh wait, that is just what clamp does. Okay. ID clamp between 0 and roles dot. All right, that's our get roll. So we can do that. Get roll. We'll do roll ID. From there, now that we have a role ID associated with the specific role that they're doing, we can locally load these in from this so that we can observe who's on what role, and then we can make actions based off of that. So let's have a very, very basic game manager, game system. All right, the most basic possible version of this that you come up with. Game system basic, GSB. That's armory behavior. Then we can go ahead and okay. We want to get all stuff, so public void start game, public void end game. So this is going to have so fast, so many ideas for VR chat. Really basic stuff on graph. Yeah, this kind of thing would take a lot longer to build out an Udon graph, because building out this kind of system requires a lot of tooling in order for it to go fast. And while there's some great stuff that can be made in Udon graph, and it's a perfectly viable tool for a lot of things, it's just not fast to work with, and that becomes a hindrance for this kind of thing, especially for streams. If I wanted to, I could make this in Udon graph. I do a lot of graph tutorials and stuff, but since I'm trying to keep a pace for a stream, I'm not gonna do that, unfortunately. All right, so we're going to have a how do we want to handle that? Okay, we're going to have an array of what's it called? So we don't have any experience with coding, so we're going to yeah, no worries. I actually started coding because of Udon. And it was kind of a necessity because back in January of 2020, Udon Graph worked. But if you had more than 5 nodes in it, it lagged horrendously and became unusable, and sometimes would just completely fall apart. These days, it's much better. But at the beginning, it was so rough around the edges that I just had to do other things. And fortunately, Udon Sharp appeared. Though there was also other things such as Udon Pie, like, wait, no, was it Udon Pie? No, yeah, Udon Pie, but PY, because it was Python, not Raspberry Pi. All right, so game system basic. This needs to know all of the NPCs in the world and all of the players in the world. So when we start a game, I actually don't know. Does Udon support find objects of type? Well, people like you help me a lot. Well, watch a lot of your videos from that world, so I want to do something. Yeah, I really appreciate that. I want to be able to have more videos up, but I've been honestly pretty busy for a while. And I would love to get some more tutorials out, but these streams are really helping me have a creative outlet right now, while I'm rushing through a few other things that I'm doing in my life. But yeah, I look forward to when I when I am able to get back into actually making tutorial videos again. Alright, so game system basic needs to know all of the players and all the NPCs. So yeah, we'll just manually assign the default ones. Utilize field, private base, and game entity, armory entity. There we go. All right, so after that, we'll have a private data list. Yeah, data list. We'll have a data dictionary for this because we need to be able to remove players when they leave. Is that Pokemon? Yes, I believe so. This is, I think it is surf music from Diamond Pro. I could be wrong, but I believe it is. I do tend to put on Nintendo music for a lot of my streams. It works very well. Alright, so during our init function, we're going to go through each entities entity, and we're going to add them to all entities. We'll actually do this as a for loop. And these will be negative IDs, I guess. So yeah, all entities I minus equals entity. All right, that way we can use these negative indices for the existing ones, and we can use positive ones for the players. So on player joined and on player left. We can go ahead and get a player object for that. So we'll do our player entity. Where is it? We're looking for armory player. That's it. Armory player dot get player. We want player dot ID. I'm gonna go to bed. Yeah, have a good night. It was good to have you hang out. We will see you around. So all entities player dot player ID equals that. And in on player left, we're going to do the opposite. We're going to do all entities dot remove. Remove. This takes a key. Yep, that's it. Okay, so player ID. All right, so this should have a full list of everyone that's in the game at all times. Start game, we will randomize between the two different types of teams that we have. So we'll need a reference for that. So serialized field, private, role manager, role manager. Okay, we will take a... Heyo, welcome Lumi. We are speeding through this, trying to get a testable game by the end of this. Which is probably a good time for Delfino Plaza to pop on. So we're going to need a shuffled result of all these things and pop them into there. So start game, we're going to get a data list of players, all entities dot get values, players dot how do we do this? Utilities dot shuffle array. There we go. And can we put in a I don't think that works. Let me check. As long as it's not the cursed version. No, it is not the one that never gets to the progression. Do we not have a built-in way to shuffle a data list? Huh. Well, I guess we're doing this the weird way. Indices equals new players. Players dot count, yeah. It's not how you spell indices. Could be wrong. Players dot count. So we are going to have a new array of we don't need a new array. We don't, because our shuffling can happen right here. Yeah, okay. Indices I equals I. I guess indices. Okay. Yeah, I guess that's right. I'm actually really surprised there's not a built-in way to like shuffle a data list. Because utilities.shuffle array doesn't have a thing for it. So if we do shuffle array, yeah, it takes a T of array type, but that doesn't work for data list, and I can't do players.shuffle because VRChat has that built in for array.shuffle or like utilities.shuffle array. But, honestly, I think it might just be smarter to, instead of doing that, we just go ahead and shuffle the players. There's new player count. Shuffle players I equals armory entity players I dot reference. Okay. So now we can do utilities dot shuffle array shuffle players. And I don't remember. I think this is one where you can do. Nope. Okay, so we don't need that. Awesome. Oh, how do I want to assign these? Because we can't declare ownership. We just need to tell an entity that their role ID should be set to something. Public void set role ID int ID. Okay. So once we have that, I feel like I'm definitely rushing this a lot, but I really wanted to get like a testable thing out for this. Entity role 1, role 2. Okay, so we'll do that. Depending on odd or even, we will just assign that. For I shuffle players at length. And now we need to get the IDs, so int ID role 1 role manager dot get ID role ID role 1 get role ID for 2. Shuffle players. All right, so now we will go ahead and shuffle players I, and this we will put into a send custom network event for players I. Actually, we'll just make a reference here. Player equals shuffle players I. Name of armory entity, set role ID. Oh, this needs to be I udon event receiver. Is it not? Oh, no, it's a I network event. Nope, no. Network event target, that's it. Network event target. Does that not work? Wait. Can't cast that to network event target. Oh, right. I remember now. I remember. Okay, so we do player dot, we do that, and then we send that to owner. Okay, I'm remembering now. Udon is very consistent in how it handles it. And then here we will do ID roll 1, ID roll 2. I'm blanking. Is this how you do the check to whether or not something's odd or even? Where basically you're getting the remainder of dividing it by 1 and checking to see if that's 0. I could be wrong. It's been like so long since I've had to use that shortcut, and the shortcut is barely legible to me. Oh, right. Nope. Divided by 2. That makes sense. That makes way more sense, actually. Because now if we divide 1 by 2, we get a remainder and stuff like that. Yep, isn't by 2. Yep. Just realized it's Thursday. Ah, welcome. Man, I'm gonna be honest, I'm exhausted. I've been helping one of my friends move to a different apartment room in the same building. So it's a lot of moving furniture towards the elevator and then moving furniture away from the elevator. It's one of the easier moves that I've helped with, but I'm out of shape. I'll be honest. That's the big one for me. All right, start game. What do we got here? Nothing exposed to them. Oh, that should be out of shape, out of mind. No, that's. Utility shuffle array. What isn't? Wait. What do you mean this not exposed to udon? Does udon only shuffle an integer array? Oh my god. This is so much less useful than I thought it would be. Alright, I guess I will do the indices method. Players.length or int players.count indices I equals I. Utilities.shuffle array indices. So here we'll do players on count the same. Shuffle players equals not I. We will instead do indices I. All right. get all of the players. We iterate through the amount of count and populate it in. We shuffle in that stuff. We make an array for all of the shuffled players. And then we go back and forth and set them to random teams, grab the IDs from the rolls, and assign those values. Alright. And that's exposed. Man, I didn't realize that shuffle array just like only works on an integer array. What a obnoxiously specific restriction. Not shuffle array. Yeah, utilities dot shuffle array, not array dot. Or actually, wait. Array dot shuffle. Okay, yeah, there isn't an array dot shuffle. I'm not going crazy. I'm just going exhausted. Alright. Create empty. Game object. Game system basic. Ball manager. Yep. Put in blue team. Put in orange team. So now, everyone by default should be on blue team. Or orange team, I guess. Oops. Player. Ooh, I need to fix that. Armory player needs to be told about the role manager. Ooh, excuse me. Alright. Player. Orange team. These guys, orange team. If I click onto this and I hit start game, we should be able to go through. Players on orange, NPC on orange, and they're all on orange. Okay, so that didn't work. Let's look at what wouldn't have worked. So start game, all entities, grab values. Entities is a data dictionary. Great. Put in all the start ones. I guess it would help if we actually put in the start ones. Alright, go ahead. Bong, bong, start game. Click. We've got orange team. We've got... Oh, okay. So it's assigning the IDs correctly. We just need it to... during undeserialization for a armory entity, we need it to entity role... Okay, yep, we just need to run on deserialization locally. Alright, game system basic. Start game. Orange. Oh, okay, that's still just getting orange. Though they're also none of these were told about the sure, that's fair. Though I'm surprised we didn't get errors. So if we look at Armory NPC, that's undeserialization. Oh, okay, they're using undeserialization, so we need to use on base on deserialization right there, because I believe that would have overridden it. All right, compiled, hit play. All right, game system basic. Start game. NPC blue, orange, blue, orange. Awesome. Now it's working. Easy. Now we need to actually do something with these things happen. Okay, so we have a start game. We need the system to know when a game is active and stop the game when it's done. Okay, so we need to be able to tell a player to spawn. So if we are going to our armory player, we want actually armory entity, there we go. Spawn entity never callable. Kill entity also never callable. Did you change up the audio files you're using? Yes, we have swapped over to the library from Adobe that actually you would like to make. It is so much better. It's like actually usable and realistic and actually set up to be audio files for sound effects instead of just a bunch of recordings that someone made. Yes, they are very, very. Am I quieter than usual? I don't know. I don't think I've changed anything on my side. I can bump myself up a bit here. Let's see if that does anything. I've put myself to... Okay, actually, I'll put myself to this. Let me know if this is higher than you'd like. Let me know if it's still too low. Let me know if you notice no differences at all. Alright, so we need to be able to... Start roll ID, kill entity. Alright. We're going to call this during end game. And otherwise, we're going to call spawn entity for all others. For each... Oops. I guess we can just do that here, actually. Might just be distance from your mic. I am very close to my mic. So that is definitely not the issue today. Though, maybe there's some noise canceling running. I do have my AC and a fan running, so maybe noise canceling is cutting down on my voice a bit. I had to turn you up to like 160%. I thought it was my laptop speakers. Well, let's see here. System sounds. Let's see if my microphone is just not set to max. Let's see, properties, levels. Well, it's set to 92 instead of 100. We'll just set it to 100. Bonk, bonk, bonk. Microphone, yep. I have noise suppression, and I have a 3-band equalizer that slightly drops the mids and slightly increases the highs. But that shouldn't be affecting it. I can actually hear you now. Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, good to hear. I guess my mic was just set to 92% in Windows, and putting it up to 100 seems to have fixed that. Easy. I guess I'm just blaming Windows on that one then. Alright, so we're going to do basically this exact same thing. But we're not going to pass a value, and we are instead going to do set role ID. We're going to pass spawn entity. Then in end game, we are going to for loop our players. Players.length. Count, okay. Then we're going to get a player from this players I dot reference. We'll send custom event to the owner to go the entity. So when the game is done, you just want to get rid of all the players. All right. So game system basic. Let's hit to play. Now let's go ahead and do start game. All right. We've all been placed on these 3 spots specifically. There's 5 you can go through. So now let's go. Just now let's go ahead and end the game. Okay. All players are moved over here with no health. Start game. You're spawned with health. Perfect. So from here, oh, actually, right. I need to put an object sync onto these guns because I haven't done that yet. I plan on having this system not use object sync in the future, but not today. All right. Put that on. Let's go ahead and change their let's do a serialized field, private image, role banner. So we'll just change the color of this depending on the role they get assigned. How do I want to handle that? I guess for now we can just put this in post-late update. Thing to be cleaned up eventually. Role banner.color equals target entity dot entity role dot role color. And if they don't have one, we'll just do white. Alright, good enough handling for now. We can go into our info canvas and we can set the panel to be the thing for that. Alright, so now we should have a visual indication of who is on what team and when. Once this goes into play mode. Alright, so by default everyone here is displayed as orange. So if we go into here, run start game, we have blue, orange, orange, and blue. Presumably someone is overlapped here. Nope. There we go. And then we locally are blue as well. Okay. So that works. Now we just need a way of handling, checking to see if everyone on one team is alive or not. Alright, so this system is going to break if the owner leaves. This is the kind of thing that I'll probably have to do a lot more work on off stream, just because these kind of game systems are going to take a lot of time. But I need a way to handle checking all the players and their roles, so... Serialized field, put on synced, private bool, game active. Networking, set owner, local player, game object. And we want to do game active equals true. Set it to be false here, and then in update, int role1 players, int role2 players. Then we're going to for loop all of our entities. Nope, I don't want keys, I want values. Data list entities equals all entities dot get values. Copy that up here. That'll do armory entity player equals that I dot reference, and we cast that as our armory entity. Now we need to check what role they are. So if player dot entity role and player dot entity role dot role 1 oh no, okay, we're gonna wrap this one. So if role 1 players dot plus. Oh, okay, we need to initialize that. Else if role 2. Alright, then if role 1 players equals 0, debug log we want our role2 dot name wins. End game. Else role2. I guess if we're returning there, we don't need the else. That's fine. So that's to be role 1. All right. This technically won't break if the owner leaves. That actually, yeah, that works quite well then. All right, set play. Let's go ahead and start the game. Hi there. How's the day been? Srini. It has been pretty good, but a bit long. I have been working on some stuff here, but today and yesterday I helped one of my friends move apartments, and they just moved between locations in the same building. So we just like moved furniture into the elevator and then out of the elevator and unloaded it. But as someone who's out of shape, oh my god, it's exhausting. Game active. False. All right. All right. So game system basic. Go ahead. Start game. All right. So I'm on the orange team. Let's just distribute everyone so we can actually see everyone. So we just go through and remove the blue players. All right, so that should have... Oh, wait, no. Okay, I see what's happening. We're not removing their role, so the thing that we actually need to check is their health. Player.health.value does not equal player.health.min value. A friend, may I ask, what are you coding? Yeah, we are working on a combat system. So, like with the guns and stuff, one that you can pretty easily set up to be, set up to just like place a game into your world. Think of like Gary's mod, where a lot of places just have TTT and stuff like that, and like other games like that. The idea is that this system can have a bunch of presets for just games that you can have, and then place it in just a world, and you can go ahead and just have that. And it should also be pretty expandable as well. I need a check for is-min value on my entity stats. Public bool is-min value. Equals. Float dot. Oh, isn't there like a there's a version of like, is it, maybe it's math F, but it's a check to say like these two floats are functionally equivalent. I just don't remember what it's called. Approximately. There we go. So, yeah, this just basically does a check. It's like, are these floats essentially the same number? Because floats can get a bit wonky sometimes. And, well, this is how it handles it. But, Yeah. So we'll swap this to be is max value. Set this to be y. So we no longer want that. We want is min value. I think I'll have this be a function. Okay, so we want this to be not true. So if their health is not the minimum value, then we still have a player that's active on this. I do apologize. As well as speaking to a spot of thing for explanation. Yeah, no worries. The system right now is basically I'm just building a bunch of like player objects and then weapons that can damage those player objects. And from here on out, I should be able to build systems for making a game that uses these players, and as well as assignable roles. And roles just dictate a team name, a color, where you spawn, and where you go when you die. Excuse me. And you can expand on that pretty easily. But right now, the basic game system that we have, excuse me, all the burps. It just assigns everyone randomly one of two teams and splits it evenly. And while one team, and it waits until one team has no players left that have health above 0, and when that happens, it ends the game. So just kind of waits for. Oh right, we need to actually start the game. Start game. All right. So we have 2 players that are overlapping right now. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, there we go. So I'm on the blue team. Still in the same module? No. Yeah. Alright, there we go. So we're just gonna go ahead and phone. So if we move this one. Okay, there we go. Blue team wins. Perfect. Now I just need to actually set up buttons to, well, do that. Then we can test it in VRC to see if it is actually functioning. Module. Module. I guess I'm not entirely sure what you meant by that. Yeah. In terms, do you mean like the teaching module, like the thing that we're working on, like in general, or you mean the kind of modular parts of this thing? I guess I also missed what it was that you meant. So drop that bit. Drop this as well. Let's get some buttons set up. Demo. Start game. Module is a component. But what do you mean by still on the same component? Like what? Sorry. But the part that I'm confused by is just what that was specifically in reference to. Let's see. Start game. There we go. This will be a private basic game system. Game system. Yeah. We're still working on the same kind of comments. Right now, we are making the most basic possible setup of, okay, I guess like full elimination would be like the most basic one. But I'm setting up the most basic team thing that I possibly can, where everyone 50-50 gets one of two different roles, and then when one of those roles is completely empty, it ends the game and declares that the other role was the winner. So, we're going to do a public void. Nope, we want interact here. Game system, start game. Yeah. So the idea with this is that in the future it can be expanded really easily into a lot more tooling, a lot more game modes and stuff like that. It should come with a lot of them built in, and it should have really easy expansion by other creators to make their own stuff for it. But for now, for today's stream, we are just getting anything working at all. is the big one. So, demo, start game. Start game. It doesn't need to be synced. We can just give this the green material. So, I think I'm gonna go ahead and just make a bunch more spawn points for this. I want to code more games into VR chat, but I don't have any ideas right now. I just coded beer pong lesson. Yeah, that's fair. My big one is that I like making games, but I like making tools for making games way more. So I like the idea of having a system that people can build off of pretty easily, and then having that system be turned into a lot of different games. So that's kind of my whole shtick right now. Just give this a bunch of different spawn points. So you're planning on releasing this game? Yeah, so the plan with this one is while I'm developing it on stream, it should be available to any patrons that I have. And with that, they should be able to have a bunch of thoughts and inputs on stuff that I'm working on and be able to test it in much of our earlier states. So the idea was today I wanted to get a testable version out for people. And as you can see, I'm 5 minutes over my normal stream time, so I'm just going to go a little bit longer today to see if I can, in a reasonable time span, get a system set up that actually allows me to have all this going. Really? I just made like 40 new spots and we still have one of these overlapping? I guess I'm just unlucky. Okay, yep. Alright, blue, orange, orange, and I am blue. So... move the other players. It's a little bit on the slow side. Alright. And then the logs, blue team wins. Awesome. So let's go ahead and do a building test. We will do this with 2 clients. So that should let us actually be able to see how it works with multiple players being added in as well. because of how this works, I'm gonna have to swap from my auto switcher over just to a normal display capture. Since I have multiple multiple VR chat windows open for this. All right, you start game. Okay, so the one on the left didn't move into the game. I'm curious what that means. So let's step through this. Game activity equals true. Shovel array, shovel indices. On player join. Yeah, so in Unity, you have the build SDK over here, where you can toggle through a bunch of stuff. What you can do is build and test your world. You can set the number of clients down here to something above 1. So I have it set to 2 right now. So that will make a fake version of you. You might need to, like, I guess it isn't any like extra options over here, but yeah, it's a tiny field. This UI, it needs some help, but yeah. Okay, so well, let's look at this. I'm orange on my side, and they're orange on their side as well. So, well, what happens if I shoot them? Well, they sure died, but they didn't respawn. Well, they sure respawned. Are they not observing that the game is active? Or okay, so let's step through this. Game system basic at the start. It calls to the owner for all of the players. Kills entities there. For here, it calls to the owner to spawn the entity. Spawn entity. If the owner is not local, return. This is the armory entity for, presumably it was assigned to the local player. Health set to max, and then they run on spawn. On spawn is handled by a standard roll. Oh, okay, I see what's happening. Rolls are not something that I care about ownership for. So we're going to drop this check here, because all of this is handled via the entity being passed into it. Actually, let's do a check here. Death spawn. Transform. Alright. So yeah, behavior based on roles required you to be the owner previously. So let's not do that anymore. So now I'll change this from build and test to build and reload. So click back into that. And just kind of fuck around waiting for stuff to happen. Alright. So I'll start the game as the player on the right. Could you do a brief explanation of how player hitboxes work in VR chat? Is just a mesh collider on their model? Does that include clothes, or just the armature? So by default, VR chat doesn't actually have player colliders for this kind of system. What they do have, though, is they have the combat system, which is a much older setup, but they basically treat the like raycast capsule. So like if you see I hover over the other me over there, that is your collider for that. What I am doing is I have actually made my own outline for it. So if I go over to this one here, this capsule collider here, this is what is, okay, I guess not exactly, but this is what the hitbox looks like. I want this system to have the ability to give you more expanded and robust outlines. So like, let's say you have a collider that expands to like your arms or like your legs or stuff like that. But by default for this starting version, you are just a uniformly shaped capsule. That way a small avatar versus a big avatar is neither helped nor hindered. Everyone is the same height for it. And this is just going to be the default. I plan on having differing sizes for models and like handling for that in the future. Oh. What just happened? Team blue wins. Team orange wins. Oh, I see what's happening. No, you would not be able to get a reference to a player. Well, okay, you can work with the player's armature and do stuff with that. What you would be doing there is you would be getting the tracking data for, or like getting their bone stuff for their chest and things like that. There's a lot of different ways that you can handle that system. I want to have 3 different handlings by default. 1, the uniform capsule that just is your collider size. 2, the one that tracks from your root to your head, so that you can lean around, you can duck, and you can be bigger and you can smaller. And 3, one with a capsule that goes for like 1 for each of your limbs. So one that goes from your hips to each foot, one that goes from your chest to your arms, and one that goes from your hips to your chest, and then a sphere of some sort for your head. So basically we have to set up a bunch of colliders like those in order to make that work. That would definitely be the most complicated and expensive one, but if you're looking for something really like impressively correct for that kind of stuff, that's how you would likely handle it. Okay, so what's happening here is game active was being set to true before everyone else had set up their health and everything. So let's wait until game time is greater than 1 second for now. Have it float game start time. Not worth it in VRC because of lag and other stuff. It depends on what it is that's being set up. But yeah, there's ways that you can make it work, but they definitely are not easy. Time since level up. All right. If game start time, nope. If time since level load minus game start time is greater than, is less than 2, return. All right. So this waits 2 seconds before that. Again, this is a quick and dirty. This is getting a game going and nothing else. This will not be in the final set. Yeah, I've noticed in Estenio's TTT that there are headshots, but it's not always easy to tell with some avatars if you're into it. Yeah, I'm not sure that I'll build that in, like those kind of like, oh, this is the sweet spot on a player's avatar, because it's just so inconsistent with the kinds of avatars that people use. If we had the ability to force what avatars people were using for a game, then we could be a lot more explicit about that. But yeah, we're not going to quite have that kind of control. All right, right player, go. All right, right player, start game. Got a hug. Yeah, great having you. Have a good day. All right, so we were setting the synced value and we were never requesting serialization. All right, so that probably a big reason for why we were running into that issue. And these are the kind of things that I would like to have like a proper timer for in an actual use case for this, rather than just having it run all the time and update. Yeah, you can check if they're humanoid. That will probably be the biggest one that we have. Like, if someone doesn't have a humanoid avatar, just fall back to the capsule. But for the most part, I think just sticking with the very basic capsule is the best that we can get. Excuse me. Alright, so I need you on the left. Press the button. Game has started. The guy on here is not joined. Where's almost everyone on the blue team? Oh, I see. There's multiple people in that position. Alright. Game ended is because this guy just isn't in the game. What am I doing wrong? Alright, so we want all entities. Oh, I see. Well, okay, that doesn't explain. Wait, no. Okay, so player ID. Removing that. So getting player. There's some kind of checks that I'm not handling. Undo serialization, handle that. Yep, remove. These don't care if you're the owner or not. Init, grab all the entities, stick it in there through a -4 loop. All entities putting in for the key of the player ID. Maybe it's because these are being delivered out of order. Alright, so what if we combine those? And do spawn entity, that to the owner. And so spawn entity with a role ID just calls set role ID, then spawn entity without one. Alright, come back to Unity. We'll see if that, maybe it was just a network event owner order of operations issue. Because I don't know how well the new system of network events for VR chat handles like first in, first out. That is how I would want it to work. I don't actually know if that's the case. Nope, that's example central. I want utilities, that. What happened? Duplicate network callable event. Oh, network callable does not support overloading. Alright. Well, then we'll just use that one. Net spawn entity. Okay, I guess I'll just do that then. Because it wasn't that I was using the network callable attribute on two functions with the same name. It's that I was having two functions with the same name and any of them having the network callable attribute. That was the issue it had. All right, now we can build and reload. And, well, just kind of run around. Alright. Play on the right. Start the game. That didn't resolve it. So something else must be happening. Because, yeah, we watched all of them update. So this is blue, orange, here. Blue, orange, blue, orange. Yeah, this is all syncing correctly. It's just this left player hasn't been told to move into the game. And if they haven't been told to move into the game, that means that their role hasn't been declared. Set role ID on deserialization. Entity role equals manager get role ID. Guess I can just force this line in here. And we can try this. Yeah, unfortunately, the slowest part of working on any project for VR chat is network testing, because it's like the only thing you can't really do in Unity itself. Because I'm trying to deliver events to another player, and that's just not a thing that you can do in Unity. Second player goes in. This person just doesn't get teleported. Let's rejoin. Rejoin. Okay. We're both orange locally. I want this guy to have a 50-50 of their role being assigned. Alright, they're in, they're blue. But this person didn't have anything happen. Yeah, at no point are these changes affecting them. Is it because you don't see an on-player join for yourself and it's just getting confused? Like, I don't see how that would be causing it, but it is an issue that is noticeable. Because I don't have any special handling for adding it to the list. Because I don't think you see on-player joined when you join. Would anyone have an answer on that one? Yeah, I genuinely don't know. I guess it's something that can be tested pretty easily, but we're already half an hour over. I'll probably fiddle it with this stuff off stream a bit over the next couple days. I would definitely like this to be working, though. VR chat networking, why is it hard? Yeah, because they themselves are getting put into the game. But another player is not. So if I respawn over here. Yeah. Even though they're like still in the game, they like haven't had something assigned to them. Okay, well, spawn it. What does this do? Owner local seven. Yep, it does this. Yep. Okay. They are the owner of their local object. I'll set to max entity roll on spawn. Okay, so that goes to the owner of this player. Man, I am running out of ideas on this one. Because, okay, what we are observing is that when one player tries to start the game, they successfully start the game. They successfully declare to all other NPCs and themselves that the game should start. What is not happening is they are not able to tell the other player to join the game. I'm going to quickly check to see if it's all other players can't. So we'll set this up with 4. So test your last build. Now, my apologies, you're going to hear 4 copies of VR Chat's loading music. So here, VR Chat down here. All right. Player on the top right. Wait for everyone to load in. Press the button. And they're the only one that joins. However, as we see, all these NPCs were moved to a spot. And if this player comes over, interacts, starts it, all the NPCs are moved, but no other players are moved. No, they aren't moved. Their ID isn't set. Their role ID isn't set. And they seem to be completely unaware that the whole thing is happening. So it's almost like this section here just isn't being run for them, which presumably means that players up here from all entities.getValues doesn't include other players. But we're doing onPlayerJoined for adding in their armory player. So get player, what this does, it does player get player by ID, player ID. It checks to see if the player that is returned is valid, and if not, it returns null. Then we grab all of the game objects that are networking.getPlayer objects for the local player. Oh, all right. Well, there we go. That's it. That right there. That's it. That's the thing. Or at least it's a major thing. We will find out if it was the thing, but it was certainly something that would cause that exact behavior. Alright, build and reload. Bang. Boom. Always helps to talk to yourself. Yeah, verbal stack tracing is sometimes easier to me than just actual stack tracing. Alright. Player has entered. Second player has entered. Ooh. We're all in. Alright. It did it. Oh my god, it worked. Oh. Thank heavens. Alright. Both players are on blue. Alright. Well. If this player removes all of their health. And then this player removes all other blue players. It's funny hearing the other, the other player hear all the damage. So now we go remove. Orange team wins. Oh my god, it's actually working. Holy crap. Thank God it was just one thing. If it was like way more things, then this would have been an hour. Alright. Perfect. I wonder how much time I spent on just that. Well, that is a great success now that that's working. Well, fortunately everything from here on out is just a little bit of code cleanup, and then I will have a demo that can work for people on Patreon. It's not going to be much of a demo, but I told people I would have one out, so I will. In the future, a lot of this stuff will change, especially in regards to game system basic here. It's pretty crap, but it works. And realistically, game system basic itself can be as crap as it needs to be, but all of the underlying systems that it interacts with is the stuff that actually needs to be good. Because game system basic, again, is a nothing game. There's nothing that this really needs to do. In fact, there will be an inherited game system that you will like build things off of and handle teams that way and stuff like that. But oh, I'm happy this is working. All right. So with that, I think we can actually pretty safely call that success for today. Did it take an extra 40 minutes? Possibly. Was the problem that we were having really simple? Possibly. But I think it came out pretty well, and we have something that we can actually work with and move forward with. I am looking forward to having people get their hands on this and play around with it a bit. And there's absolutely going to be issues. Don't have any misconceptions about that. But I look forward to having people actually be able to check this out. All right. It was great having everyone here today. Next week, depending on how things go, I might jump back to the NPC system for a bit. Might do a little bit more on this system. I think it'd be good to have week-by-week changes for the system that's being worked on. Because I haven't really done much more with the NPC system as of late, and I'd really like to jump back into that. So, thanks for the stream. Yeah, thank you. I look forward to seeing everyone on Tuesday again. And until next time, we'll see you around.